There was a time when all people counted were calories. It was a stressful but more simple time when you could simply look a label and decide that you'd forego a double-decker bar's 250 calories in favor of a 218-calorie Kit Kat. What your favorite coffee order says about you. But these days, you can't move for mentions of macros. Every fitness blogger and PT seems to be talking about counting them and what percentages to aim for in order to achieve your ultimate body goals. It's essentially a way of working how much of your meals should protein, fat and carb-based. So if you're a pasta fiend who thinks their weight might be linked to how much penne they eat for dinner, counting macros might help you readdress the balance. But how exactly are you supposed to count them? We spoke to Sophie Dillion, head nutritionist at Fresh Fitness Foods, a fitness and health-focused meal delivery service which does the macros counting for you. What exactly are macros? Macronutrients provide energy in the form of calories and make up the three major components of food: carbohydrates, fat and protein. These are required in large quantities by the body, hence the term macro, Sophie tells metro.co.uk. Ensuring we consume the right balance of macronutrients can significantly impact the quality of our results, whether our goal is fat loss, muscle gain, or weight maintenance. How does our body use the three different macros? Our bodies use carbohydrates, followed by fats, and then protein as a fuel source. Carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which is our body's first go-to energy source. Glucose is used as energy by our brain, muscles and other essential cells. Our body regulates our blood glucose levels using the hormone insulin. Insulin lowers blood sugar levels when these are too high, whilst glucagon increases blood sugar levels when these are too low. When blood glucose is too high, insulin will remove glucose from our bloodstream and store the excess in our fat cells. Therefore, essentially, excess glucose is stored as fat. To avoid that happening, health gurus like Sophie recommend choosing complex carbohydrates over simple carbohydrates. Complex carbs, such as sweet potato, brown rice and quinoa, are broken down into glucose slowly by the body, causing a slow release of insulin and therefore regulating our blood glucose levels. This enables the body to utilize glucose as energy rather than storing glucose as fat. White bread and pasta, simple carbs, on the other hand, get broken down quickly by the body, causing a sharp increase in blood glucose and a spike in insulin levels, which promotes the storage of excess glucose as fat rather than as energy. This enables the body to utilize glucose as energy rather than storing glucose as fat. In contrast, simple carbohydrates are less desirable as they are broken down quickly by the body, causing a sharp increase in blood glucose and a spike in insulin levels, which promotes the storage of excess glucose as fat rather than as energy. Fat. Now you might have spent your whole life thinking that you should swerving fat, but that's where you've been going wrong. Once our body has used its glucose stores, it turns to fat as its next best energy provider, says Sophie. Fat is essential to our health and supports many of our essential bodily functions, including the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E and K. It is a high-density energy source, yielding 9 kcal per gram as opposed to 4 kcal per gram for carbohydrates and protein. It is commonly accepted that when it comes to dietary fat, you should focus on eating healthy fats, which are unsaturated, and try to avoid unhealthy fats, which are saturated. Healthy fat sources are found in foods such as oily fish, salmon, tuna and mackerel, avocados, nuts, olive oil, flax seeds, etc. Protein. The final macronutrient is protein and is made up of 22 amino acids, 9 of which are essential and cannot be made by the body. Therefore, these essential amino acids must come from our diet, Sophie explains. Our body structure, bodily functions, cells, muscles and tissues cannot exist without protein. Protein builds, strengthens and repairs muscle tissue, makes antibodies for our immune system, produces hormones and enzymes and transports oxygen through the blood. Animal protein sources are considered the best sources of essential amino acids, although it is possible to combine plant-based foods to consume these also. So each individual macronutrient is vital for the normal functioning of our bodies. What we want to know is how much of each should we be eating? How do you count macros? Time to get your calculators out, people. Step 1. Work out your basal metabolic rate BMR 10x weight kilogram 6.25x height cm 5x age 161. Step 2. Work out your total daily energy expenditure TDEE sedentary BMR by 1.2 lightly active BMR by 1.375 moderately active BMR by 1.55 very active BMR by 1.75 Step 3. Determine your goal and from this what you will need to either decrease or increase your calories by. For example, Fresh Fitness Foods apply a 20% deficit for their fat loss package. From this point, you need to determine the deficit or surplus required to achieve your desired goal. For example, we apply a 20% calorie deficit for our fat loss clients and a macro split of 40% protein, 20% carbs and 40% fat. So for me, on gym days, my body is burning around 2040 calories. As I'm looking to shred a bit, I should be eating around 1633 calories a day. To work out the macros from this, we need to know the following: protein 4 kilocalories per 1 gram, carbohydrates 4 kilocalories per 1 gram, fat 9 kilocalories per 1 gram. Using our calories per day, we can then work out how many grams of each macro is needed. We do this by calories per day by percent of macro, 100 kilocalories per gram. So for example, for protein it would be 1632.4 cals x 40,100, 4,163 grams of protein per day. So, for me, a 60 kilograms, 27-year-old woman, these are my daily macros: calories per day 1633 cals, protein per day 163 grams, carbs per day 81.6 grams, fat per day 72.5 grams, and that just means that, in this instance, you're looking to get double the amount of protein as you're getting carbs. So rather than porridge for breakfast, you might opt a couple of poached eggs. Or for dinner, you might try and give yourself a handful of rice and 2 fish fillets. Time, perhaps, to crack out the scales. Or macros. All you need to know when it comes to health whilst hitting your macronutrient requirements is important. Of equal importance is the food sources you are using to make up your macros, says Sophie. For example, eating a large pizza will not provide you with the same essential vitamins and minerals as a piece of grilled salmon, leafy green vegetables and sweet potato, irrespective of the fact that they may both be within your macro requirements for the day. Choosing lean sources of protein such as chicken, beef, salmon, white fish and turkey paired with complex carbohydrates such as quinoa, brown rice and sweet potato and lots of fibrous green vegetables will ensure a healthy approach to counting your macros. So, there you have it, macros 101. It's not everything, and these numbers don't take into account your muscle or fat mass, a bit like BMI, but it might be a useful thing to start doing if you're looking to find a better balance. More Meet the Deaf nutritional coach who's fighting for greater accessibility in fitness. More. Here's what the head of sport exercise nutrition at Arsenal wants you to know about fueling.